Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Learn Gita, Live Gita course book, chapter number 5. Which section? Chapter 5 is over. Okay. So we go to chapter number 6 then. Should we go to chapter number 6 or the chapters which we missed earlier, like chapter 3 and 4? Which chapter next? 3, 4 or 6? Before means 3 and 4, right? Just an update. So how many of you have given tests for lesson 1? Okay, how many of you have not given the test for lesson 1? Test for lesson 1. All of you have already done. Okay. Lesson 2. Lesson 2 test done. Or how many of you have not taken the lesson 2 test yet? Oh, Raj Prabhu, you have not taken. You can do that. Lesson 2 we have discussed long ago. Lesson 3, how many of you have not taken the test yet? Lesson 3. So all of you have already taken the test, and Dheeraj Prabhu has not taken the test for lesson 3 yet. Raj Prabhu has not taken because he has not done 2. Okay, then we can start if you want with lesson 3. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Chahine Vishe Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Lesson 3 is Krishna as he is. Introduction. We have learned in the last lesson that God is infinite. At the level of infinity, laws of finites do not apply. Even if infinite units, each of infinite size, are taken away from this infinity, the same infinity remains as the original infinity. So, God as infinity is always inconceivable. In this lesson, we will describe how this inconceivable infinity is also the transcendental person in his original state. So we already have read the infinity, that how Krishna is infinity, Krishna is infinite, but still he is infinity. Generally, people may say infinity means somebody cannot be bound. It is so huge, it is like homogeneous, something homogeneous. But no, it is not like that. Krishna is infinite, but still he is a person. Person means he has his own preferences. He has his own, there are some things which he likes. He has his relationships, which means that with different people, he has different kinds of exchanges, right? Homogeneous means same for all. Whether I interact or you interact or anybody else interacts, everybody will experience same thing because it's homogeneous. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is a person. Person means different kinds of interactions. Uh, okay, who is Krishna? Is God some supernatural force or power? Okay. So we will start. So this is the basic kind of introduction to the chapter, that what we are going to study. We're going to study, okay, we have studied that Krishna is infinite, God is infinite, but now we're going to study, even if he is infinite, he is still a person, an infinite person. So, so this is the kind of direction this chapter is uh, heading towards. But we will go step by step. So we'll start with very basic understanding of God, which means very basic uh, uh, what people may say, few different ideas which people have. So first is God some supernatural force or power? Generally we hear, right, people say, who is God? God is a great power. Or somebody will say, oh, you know, some power is controlling the whole universe. Some power is controlling this whole existence. So they consider the power is very divine, very great power, which is doing everything. Okay. So we start from here. God is the supreme power. All those who believe in God often proclaim so. So this is a claim. This is not what Bhagavad Gita is saying, but this is what people say, that God is supreme power. But this very idea is not accepted in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita does not say Krishna is the supreme power. Okay, then what does Krishna say? So first, why is God not a power? Because as a concept, power or Shakti is always dependent and possessed by somebody. So dependent on somebody or possessed by somebody. So by definition, God must be independent, right? Power is always under the control of somebody, always possessed by somebody. But Krishna is not controlled by anybody. He is not possessed by anybody. He is not dependent on anybody. Hence, he is infinitely powerful. He is not power, but he is the one who possesses all the power. One who possesses or one who controls all the power. So all the power depends on him. So that is why he is powerful. He is not power, he is powerful. We request our readers to abandon this concept of God as supreme power. As a common sense, you can delineate power from powerful, as it is the powerful who controls the power and not vice versa. So the powerful person controls the power. Power itself is not independent, right? Power itself is just neutral. Somebody can use it. For example, Prabhupada often gives the example, oh, it's there, electric power. You will see further in the next paragraph. God is not power, rather he is the most powerful or the source of all power. Power is just one of his opulence. Power is just something which Krishna possesses. Just one of those things which Krishna possesses. Power is always controlled by somebody. For instance, electric power is controlled by an engineer. Can you give example how electric power is controlled by an engineer? Can you give example how electric power is controlled by an engineer? How electric power is controlled by an engineer? Okay, Dheeraj Prabhu is saying he controls the supply to homes. Yes. So engineer will control the supply to home, right? Which means engineer can direct where to send the electric power. For example, if I don't pay my electricity bill, the power company will cut off my power connection. So power cannot come, even if the power had some desire, power wants to come but cannot come because the supply is shut off by the company, by the engineer. Electric power made by an engineer, so he controls. Yes, the generators are made by somebody, operated by somebody. Electric power is generated by these generators. So they can control how much power you want. You want this much voltage or that much voltage, how much current you want. All that can be controlled by the engineer. At electric power stations, engineer has control over voltage and yeah, exactly the same thing. Somebody can control how much voltage you want. You can put transformers to change the voltage. Also, the devices which use the power can also utilize the power in different ways. Prabhupada often gives an example of a refrigerator versus a heater. A heater can generate heat, but a refrigerator can absorb heat, right? So exactly opposite function. The heater will heat up the room, refrigerator will cool the area. So different operations, exactly opposite operations. So, but both operations are done by whom? By power. But somebody is controlling. If you put it into electricity, if you put it into refrigerator, different outcome. Put it into heater, different outcome. Somebody can control power to generate different effects. So that is why power is always subordinate to the powerful. The person who controls the power is more powerful than the power itself. One has to understand that God is not power, but God is powerful, and rather much more. He's not just powerful, he is the supreme powerful, and also many other opulences he has. Okay, so this is the first part. Is this clear? That God is not power, he is powerful. Okay, can you summarize this in one line, or one line? That line can be as long as you want, but just one line. Can you summarize this section in one line? Please summarize this part in one line. You can also make questions, because I think this section does not have questions. We can add some questions also here. Good point by Rajkumar Prabhu. He says that in case of electric power, it can kill the engineer itself. Yes. So even if the engineer is controlling the power, he is not a perfect controller, right? He is not the controller. He is a very tiny controller. He can control to a certain extent, and if he does not handle it properly, the same electric power can kill the engineer also. So he is controller, but he is not the supreme controller. But Krishna is the supreme controller. That is what is the difference between God and us. That he is the supreme powerful, we are tiny powerful. Good point. Abhishek Bansal Prabhu is summarizing. He's saying power or machine is always controlled by a living entity. Yes. So therefore God is not a power. God is not power. God is rather powerful. Nobody else is summarizing. So I will tell you one instance where this concept got imprinted in me. I was when I was in BTech, I think third year. Yeah, BTech third year. So I had my some internship. So I had to go to Japan. So for that I had to go for a passport, because I didn't have passport. So I had to go to the passport office to get my passport so that I can apply for. I can go to Japan. So I went to the passport office. In the passport office, I was waiting. It's a long queue. Means earlier the passport office was very bad situation. Nowadays it is. I think it has streamlined quite a lot. But that time it was very bad situation. The people were standing on the roads and were very messy. Anyways, I got into one room uh, which was a kind of back entry. Means I somehow I had some connection with somebody. That person got me into that room, but that room was also very crowded, full of people. So all of them, they had back entry. So I was sitting on one sofa, and many people also were sitting around, and I was waiting for the people, the officer to call me in. So the passport officer to call me in. So while I was sitting and waiting, I was reading one book, Prabhupada book. I think it was Life Comes from Life. So I was just sitting and reading that book. There was one boy sitting next to me. He asked me this, what are you reading? And I started telling him, oh, I'm reading about spirituality, I'm reading about God. And in this way, he started talking to me. And then he asked me so many questions. He asked me, uh, then he asked me, I asked him, who is God? Then he said, God is the supreme power. And then I told him, no. If God is power, this means he is dependent on somebody. So God is not power, but God is powerful. So I tried to try to tell about this concept that God is not power, but he is powerful. And this boy, he got very impressed with it. He got very impressed. And because he always thought God is power. And then I asked him, what is your name? And I forget what was his name. His name was, I think, I don't remember his name. His name was Ashfaq or Abdullah, like that, some name he had. Abdul or Abdullah, some name he told me. And when I I had developed, we were talking for quite some time, and I was I was telling him about the book. I also told you, take this book and read it, and he read a few pages also, and then he asked me some questions. We were discussing, but as soon as I heard, oh, he's Muslim, I became afraid. Oh no, I don't know what will happen now. So because I thought, I don't know whether he will be he's appreciating this, or he's just reading it for some, he has some other idea. So while I became little nervous. Nervous means, yeah, I thought of, okay, now maybe I told him too much about Krishna, about books of Prabhupada, about these concepts. Maybe he might not like it. But then I asked him, he was not at all taken back. He was discussing very naturally, very nicely, and he was telling, oh, and I asked him, I told him that you should not eat meat. Like this point came, you should not eat meat or something. And he told me, I don't eat meat. He told me that he is a vegetarian. I said, then when I came to know that he's a Muslim, I asked him, so you do not eat meat? He said, no, I don't eat meat. I am vegetarian. I said, how come? Because Muslims, they eat meat. He said, no, we are not. It's not that we must eat meat. It is allowed, but we may not eat also. And when I heard this, I thought, oh, he's a very special person, because he has no idea of fanaticism. He's not fanatic, or his idea is not irrational, or not just sentimental, but he is a thoughtful person. So that's why it was good to talk to him. And then he asked me different things, and then I was kind of not showing much inclination, but he himself was showing inclination and trying to ask, and he took my phone number also. And then in this way we spent, I think, a few hours together, sitting and waiting there and discussing. And so then our meeting time came. I met the officer and then came back to Kanpur. After some days, he had come there to get a visa for Dubai or UAE, wherever, Saudi Arabia. He wanted to go there for work. Although he was young, but that's what people do. They go there and they work in the in work in Dubai or UAE, and they get a lot of money there, and they live like laborers there. And I came back to Kanpur. I was in IIT. I was in ashram, living in ashram, and one day he called me on phone, and when I received his phone call, I understood this is his number. I talked to him. He talked so nicely. He was telling how are you doing? Did you get your passport? Did you get your visa? Are you going? I said, I told him, yeah, yes, I got my passport, this and that. And then I asked him, how about you? How are you doing? Yeah, he said, I also have got my passport. I will be going to Dubai next month, like that. And then he was telling about his family. And I was little afraid that I don't know why is he calling me? Is he after me, or is he going to take some? What does he want from me? But I didn't appreciate. Means I didn't understand that he was a very nice person and very understanding person, and he actually appreciated Krishna. So this happened, and after this, many months passed. I think once or twice he also called in between on my phone, and then many months passed. It was the month of March. I mean, so many months. I think more than a year, and I have almost forgotten. And then in the month of March, one day suddenly a phone call came from not from India, so foreign number. And I picked up the phone. I thought, who is this? I started speaking. Then he told, oh, I am Abdul speaking. I think his name was Abdul. I don't remember. I am Abdul speaking. I said, oh, you're the same Abdul whom I met in the passport office. Yes, you remember me. Thank you. And he was very happy. Oh, you remember me. And then he told me that I'm in Saudi Arabia now, and I am working here. And then he started telling about his kind of what he's doing. I live here, I work here, and my family is in India, in Lucknow. And then he was discussing very nicely. And then actually why he had called me, he said, oh, happy Holi. He called me to wish happy Holi because that was month of March and Holi was around. So, and then I felt, means how my understanding was so crippled that I always consider people in terms of what background they come from, but people can be so nice. And also his appreciation for this. Actually, I think that time I asked him, oh, do you remember we had a nice discussion? He said, yes, I remember that God is not power, He's powerful. So he told me on the phone. Yeah, so this Prabhupada's message is very nice, very powerful, and it is amazing how people from any background, they can relate to it, they can appreciate this message, and they become so naturally attracted towards this beautiful message. That is the power of Prabhupada's books and Prabhupada's teachings. Okay, so I think we can stop here. It's almost 7:40. So Ajit Prabhu has shared his one-line summary. So Ajit Prabhu says, power is God's opulence and not God himself, or not God itself. Yes. So power is God's opulence and not God. I think very nicely he summarizes all the aspects, that God is not power, because power is not God itself. Rather, power is God's opulence. So God is not power, but He's powerful. And it also, what he has said, it also captures the point that power is just one of the opulences of God. It is not the only opulence what God has. So I think very nicely put in one sentence. I think 3 messages together. Okay. So anybody has any questions or any points or any comments? So I think it will be nice if whenever you meet somebody or somebody shows little bit of good attitude towards you or towards spiritual life, you can discuss about these topics. They are very short and sweet. Means anybody who has even little idea of God, they can appreciate these topics very easily. And Prabhupada has presented in very simple language and very with very concrete examples like this power example of electricity and engineers. Very concrete example, but very impactful example. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.